If you're running a 10 to 30 person professional services firm and you're thinking about hiring a new CFO, I need to show you something that could save your business. Here's what nobody tells you. Most CFOs available to small businesses can't actually help you grow. It's not that they're bad people. It's not that they're incompetent, but they were never trained to be strategists. They were trained to be accountants. And there is a massive difference. I'm Mike Hiley. I'm actually a chartered accountant, and my team and I have led finance teams in small businesses to one of the world's largest publicly traded companies, WPP PLC. We've also worked with countless CFOs as implementation specialists, and we've seen it on both sides of the coin. What I'm about to share with you is backed by research from PwC, IBM, and Deloitte. So let's talk about why hiring the wrong CFO could be the most expensive mistake you never see coming. The thing is, there are actually two types of CFO. The tactical CFO, also called the bookkeeper CFO, and the strategic CFO, or what we like to call the elite CFO. And the gap between them is widening every year. And let me break this down. Firstly, you've got the tactical CFO. Their primary focus is on recording what already happened. Their decisions are actually based on historical data and cost containment. The role in your business will be the technical operator. And what they deliver is retrospective reporting, compliance, and maintaining order. Think of them as an elevated accountant. They're great at reconciliation. They know GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principles, inside out. Your books will always be clean and your taxes will always be filed on time. But here's the problem. They can't actually tell you what to do next. On the other hand, you've got the strategic CFO. Their primary focus is on value creation and looking forward strategy. Their decisions are based on experience, analysis, intuition, and creative problem solving. Their role in a business is your strategic partner, and what they deliver is innovation, growth, transformation, and competitive advantage. This is the CFO who doesn't just report your margins, they design systems to improve them. They don't just track cash flow, they forecast scenarios and prevent crises from happening. Here's where it gets critical for small businesses. Research shows that SMB CFOs, the ones you can actually afford to hire full-time, they're almost always tactical CFOs. Why? Well, firstly, because their salaries are probably out of your range. And secondly, because becoming a strategic CFO requires a very specific career path. To become an elite strategic CFO, the kind who works at a Fortune 500 company takes about 18 years and 6 different roles. And here's the typical path. They start at one of the big accounting firms, PwC, Deloitte, etc., etc. This accelerates their career 1 to 2.5 times faster than the private industry because they get a broad exposure and management training. Then they move into corporate finance. They'll do roles like financial planning analysis, they'll do treasury, they'll do capital management. And they also get a decent amount of M&A experience, merger and acquisition, by learning how to value companies, structure deals, and manage capital allocation. They get diverse operational exposure. They work across different business units, markets, and complex environments. This teaches them to think systematically and not just tactically. They will develop a broad level of communication skills, learning how to influence strategy at the highest level because they're working with people at the highest level. And they also will master advanced AI and analytics. They'll start using scenario modeling, predictive forecasting, and data storytelling. That's the career path of a strategic CFO. Now let's talk about a tactical CFO. They will typically stay in accounting or bookkeeping roles. They'll focus on technical mastery rather than strategic exposure. They will unlikely have any M&A experience because they only work for smaller businesses, and they will have never worked in the capital markets. They never learn to translate financial data into proactive business strategy because they've never had to. And you might be wondering, well, so what? What's that got to do with me? Well, here's what it means to you. A tactical CFO knows how to reconcile your accounts. They can file your taxes. They can tell you what happened last month, but they can't help you model what happens if you want to add a new service line. They can't stress test your new hiring plan. They can't build you a system that shows you real-time project profitability. A strategic CFO, well, yeah, they built these things dozens of times across businesses, lots of different businesses, and models at scale. And here's the brutal truth. This lack of strategic training limits how tactical CFO thinks about growth. Hey, just a quick aside. If you're enjoying this video and you want to get more insights on back office for professional services businesses, Please do hit the like and subscribe button. It really means a lot to us. And hopefully we'll see you again. They're reactive. You're making decisions and they're recording the outcome. That's not financial leadership. That's bookkeeping with a bigger title. So when you hire a full-time CFO for your 20-person agency and they cost you a minimum and realistically minimum 200,000 and realistically 300,000 when you take the fully loaded cost, what you're actually getting in most cases is just an expensive controller, someone who can close your books, someone who can file your taxes, but someone who cannot help you forecast scenarios, optimize your capital allocation, or design systems that scale with your growth. And let me show you how this looks in the real world. We work with dozens of professional services firms, agencies, consultancies, and even CPA firms, and we see the same patterns over and over. Firstly, margin blindness. Your CFO tells you your books are clean, your profit and loss looks fine, but then you discover you're bleeding 120,000 a year in margin leakage from bad project scoping, silent write-offs, and inefficient overhead management. A tactical CFO will just report what happened. A strategic CFO designs systems to prevent it from happening in the first place. Then you have the cash flow chaos. Your CFO can tell you how much you've got in the bank, but they may not be able to build a 13-week rolling cash forecast that shows you exactly when to hire, when to hold, and when a client's late payment will hit payroll. A tactical CFO reacts to cash problems. A strategic CFO eliminates cash surprises. Then you've got growth without strategy. If you want to scale, or you want to add a new service line, or you want to enter a new market, your CFO might say, well, let me run the numbers. But they can't model scenarios. They can't stress test assumptions. They can't tell you the capital implications of your growth plan. A tactical CFO tells you if you can afford it, if they're good. But a strategic CFO tells you how to fund it and whether it's worth doing in the first place. This is why so many professional services firms hit a ceiling somewhere between 3 million and 10 million in revenue. It's not a sales problem and it's not a delivery problem. It's a financial leadership problem. You've outgrown bookkeeping, but you can't afford or justify a $200,000 to $400,000 strategic CFO. So you're stuck. Now here's where it gets really interesting. What if you could access a strategic elite CFO, someone with global professional services experience, M&A expertise, and board level strategic thinking without paying $200,000 to $400,000 a year? What if you could get the strategy without the full-time cost? Well, that's exactly what we've built at Heidi Solutions. My team spent years in senior financial roles in WPP, one of the world's largest communications and marketing services groups. It's listed on both the London and New York stock exchanges. Collectively, they've led finance in its subsidiary companies, managing multi-million-dollar project budgets, complex capital structures, and M&A transactions, and board-level strategic planning. They've also led finance operations across US, Europe, and Latin America. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's great, but I'm not managing billions or multi-millions of dollars. I'm trying to grow my business from 3 million to 10 million without losing my mind. And here's the thing. The strategic thinking that we use to manage multi-million-dollar WPP operating companies is exactly the same that will scale a $3 million business to a $10 million business and beyond. The frameworks are the same. How do you forecast cash with confidence? How do you price profitably instead of in fear? How do you build systems that show you real-time margins so you can stop finding out about losses after it's too late? How do you make hiring decisions based on capacity models rather than gut feel? Well, let me be clear about what this means to you. Most SMB CFOs have spent their entire career in accounting. We've spent our career building financial strategy at the highest level. That experience changes how we approach every financial decision in your business. When we design your pricing strategy, we're applying profit optimization frameworks that have been stress tested on multi-million-dollar portfolios. When we set up your financial systems, we're building for a business that you're becoming and not just the business you are today. Well, here's how the math works. If you want a full-time SMB CFO, it's going to cost you somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 a year, depending on the location, and probably $400,000 to $600,000 if you're in New York, for example. And what you get is a tactical bookkeeper level thinking. If you go for a fractional CFO, that's based on usage. It's fractional for a reason, and you should expect to pay less than half of that. And for that, you'll get elite strategic CFO expertise. And here's what really matters. You get someone who thinks like a CEO and not a bookkeeper. Someone who's been in the room with when multi-million-dollar decisions are made, and that can bring strategic thinking to your $5 million business. Someone who knows how to translate financial data into competitive advantage. That's the difference between a tactical CFO and a strategic CFO. And that's the difference between a business that plateaus at $5 million and one that confidently scales to 20 million and beyond because you're making every decision with clarity instead of guesswork. Look, I get it. You started your firm because you're great at what you do. You're a killer designer, a brilliant consultant, an exceptional strategist, or, and you work well with your clients. But running the finance function, that's not why you got into this. And hiring the wrong CFO, or worse, hiring no one and trying to do it yourself with spreadsheets, well, that's how great firms stay small. So the question you need to ask yourself is, do I need someone to record what happened, or do I need someone to help me decide what happens next? If it's the former, hire a good bookkeeper or controller. No problem. But if it's the latter, if you want to build a business that scales, that's predictable, that gives you back your weekends and your sleep, then you need a strategic CFO. We work with professional services just like yours, creative agencies, consultancies, law firms, companies with 10 to 30 people who are ready to stop guessing and start scaling. If you want to see what elite CFO expertise looks like in your business without the 2 to 300K price tag, I'll personally walk you through it. You can just book a 45-minute financial health assessment, and there's a link in the description below. There's no pitch. We'll just give you an honest assessment of your current financial position. We'll give you some specific recommendations for your situation, and I'll give you some clear next steps, whether you work with us or not. But here's the truth. You don't need a technical CFO. You need a strategic partner. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And if you like this video, please do subscribe and like to it.